Hey, this is Stuart. The Sonic franchise has held a special place in my heart. I remember getting together with my siblings and cousins to play games like the Mega Collection and Riders. We'd also go into debates on which game was better, Adventure 1, 2, Heroes, Shadow.
No.
As I got older, I kinda teetered off a bit from the series. I didn't have disposable income to afford new games, and barely grew up with anything that wasn't Nintendo. But that love for the Blue Rat was still deep in my heart. I remember freaking out when I saw the reveal trailer for Sonic being playable in the upcoming Smash Bros. Game.
Like this if you're watching in 2024.
With over 30 years of games, I never knew how much he had changed. To me, he was the funny blue hedgehog that goes fast. But that wasn't until a few years ago. It started when I noticed how short the length of his quills were in Forces compared to Generations. In fact, his fur is more lighter. At the time, an idea was going through my head about wanting to make a video about this change. But did I really want to be known as the Sonic Quills guy? Fast forward to today, I could safely pick this back up as my next topic in the Faces series. For this video, I mainly want to focus on the video game releases. So this excludes the TV shows, comics, fan interpretations, and movies.
New crispy pretzel chicken fries at Burger King.
I can return to this at a later date if there's enough interest. For the video game side, this will include consoles, handhelds, mobile phones, and of course arcades. As usual, I'm going to do my best to go over as much as I can find. If you think I missed something, stay until the end. It might show up. If you haven't already, give the video a like and subscribe. Let's begin. Sonic 1? Just kidding. His humble beginnings start off with his concept design. At the time he was called Mr. Hedgehog. The best way I could describe this version is if a hedgehog stood on two legs, giving more emphasis on his large quills. He also has that singular big eye with two pupils, a black nose, tan arms and legs, a muzzle and belly. This other design gives him large ears and shoes that weren't fully drawn in. It's hard to see, but he also has a long tail. One looked more angry, and one is just having a good time. Mr. Hedgehog was eventually fine-tuned, having blue fur to fit the company logo, tan muzzle, torso and arms, and white gloves. His shoes have an interesting history. In 2009, game developer published an interview with designer Naoto Oshima in which he states, quote, his shoes were inspired by the cover to Michael Jackson's Bad, which contrasted heavily between white and red, that Santa Claus type color. I also thought that red went well for a character who can run really fast when his legs are spinning. That's really cool. You could see the inspiration with the white belt and yellow buckle. The red and white also make it a Christmas stocking, with the top of his shoes folding down to make them look like socks. There's also this design without the belt buckle on his shoes, making them fully red. He also had a human girlfriend named Madonna.
Are you looking at this?
Sonic's first appearance in a video game would be 1991's Radmobile in arcades. He's an ornament in the driver's car. When he rotates, you can see the Mr. Hedgehog design with the multiple spikes. It's really cute. What isn't cute, however, is the actual first appearance for home consoles. Released for the Commodore Amiga in the UK, The Adventures of Quick and Silva feature a bootleg of Sonic. It also features other bootleg characters like Bub from Bubble Bobble. This one's weird. His ears are much larger. The top of his head is shorter. The quills are more squished together. His torso's bigger. He loses the yellow buckle on his shoes. And they had the audacity to make his arms blue. Boy, I hope that doesn't show up again. Okay, for real this time. Let's talk about his first game. We'll start with the Japanese box art. Some aspects have remained, such as his shoe colors, minus the belt buckle. There's his gloves, blue fur, and so on. But he has much less quills. They're thicker and shaped like a shark fin. It feels more cleaner and less messy. His ears have also shrunk. I'm not going to include the manual artwork for every game, but I wanted to show these cute illustrations by Hirokazu Yasuhara. It's like, what if Sonic was a terrified stick figure? The manual also has his belt buckle. Some had it white, and some were yellow. It was his early days, so some colors did change around. I'd like to say his sprite translates well from the artwork. However, I do notice a much different shade of blue. I'm also not an expert on the color blue, but just look at him. His skin is also more peachy rather than tan. It's probably the way the blue is over his eyes, but I always viewed this sprite as more angry. Like a scowl. For the American box art, he went through a few changes. What's interesting is that Sonic was designed with a Western audience in mind. There are plenty of examples of artwork being changed, like Final Fantasy, Super Mario Bros., Dragon Quest, Phalanx. The most distinct difference you can see between the two are the way his quills are handled. To me, because of the extra detail in his head right here, the American Sonic is more of a mohawk, with the extra blue shadows showing his head is more circular. It was also the 90s, so everything was more radical. Other details you can find are much larger ears with small points at the end, a pudgier nose, muzzle, torso, and fingers. His blue is much lighter, as well as a tanner skin and more light details in his pupils. It may just be the way his eyebrows are, but he looks like he has more attitude. It makes sense considering the commercials at the time portrayed him as just a little rascal.
They say he's incredibly fast. Well, what's the hurry, mister? And about his attitude. Smarty pants! Why can't it be more like that nice boy Mario? Oh! Little brat!
The Sega Master System, predecessor to the Genesis, received its own Sonic game with the same title. While they both share 3 stages, these are separate games. The Japanese box art has the same Sonic pose, whereas the American box art has him running across a bridge. Comparing these two on screen, it looks like the Master System made his torso more oval, as well as giving him more muscle in his arms, although that could be because he's running. Comparing the sprites, I'm surprised how much detail the Master System one has. The most notable changes are his skin and shoes turning orange. I don't think it's a color palette issue, since Robotnik has the same red outfit. This game was also ported to the Sega Game Gear with a completely new sprite. Comparing the two, the Game Gear sprite squishes his nose in between his pupils to make this U-shaped on his face. It reminds me of Ninten's face from Mother. Looks like a question mark. His skin and shoes are also a much brighter, I'll say orange and peach-like colors. The darker shades in his quills are also a more pale blue. I got this info from looking at the sprites in MS Paint with the drop tool. Now you wouldn't disagree with MS Paint, would you? Waku Waku Sonic Patrol Car is an arcade ride in which you control Officer Sonic as he patrols the streets. The biggest difference in-game is the police hat. Seeing the ride itself is really cool. We get to see artwork of Officer Sonic around the machine, including a jump button, but having his face and arms sticking out. It's kind of disturbing, but I love it. Looking online, official artwork has Sonic with his iconic finger wag wearing his police hat, but the artwork printed on the front and back of the car forgets the color in his arms, leaving them white. I noticed machines found today have also started losing more color on the artwork.
Hey, want to listen to some tunes?
Sonic Eraser uses the same sprite as the first game. However, the darker shades of blue have changed to a brighter shade. In my opinion, this looks much better on him. Sonic apparently has an identical twin brother who's never mentioned again. It reminds me of Donkey Kong Jr. II. The most infamous thing about this game is the music. 3 movies called Halloween, 3 games called Sonic 2. That's the only thing they have in common. Sonic 2 for the Master System only released in PAL regions. The Game Gear version released everywhere else. It uses the American artwork for Sonic as he rides on a hang glider. The sprite updates his shoes from orange to red. The intro features a zoomed-out Sonic, as well as title cards for zones, which makes it feel like a Saturday morning cartoon. Sonic the Hedgehog in Sky High.
Welcome to a school
Here we go!
where the expectations are
Sky high.
I will determine where you will be assigned, hero or sidekick.
no wonder some kids melt under pressure
Sidekick.
and others are stretched to the max.
Ryan, look out!
Surprisingly, the Game Gear port doesn't copy from the first game. Instead, it's a shade darker from the Master System version. I'm getting this information from spritersresource.com. MD Travis, my life is in your hands. Sonic 2 for the Sega Genesis is the game most people are familiar with, being the sequel to the highly successful Sonic the Hedgehog. Starting with the Japanese box art, it could just be the pose that he's making, but the standout differences I see are his quills being slightly thinner and longer, same with his shoes being longer, his wristbands being smaller. This one doesn't feel like it would slip off when he goes at top speed. If you look close enough, you'll see his shoes sporting a belt buckle. It's interesting that the artists still add that, despite not being in the game. Is it me, or can I just not find a full body pose of this artwork? The closest thing I can use for comparison is the promotional comic. Comparing these two, I noticed that Sonic's shoes became longer and sharper. Comparing the sprite to Sonic 1 and Eraser, the sprite for Sonic 2 is a much colorful blue. I like this glow detail on his head. It's a nice touch. The special stages use a different sprite to try and give off a more 3D depiction, showing us 6 quills on his head and 3 quills on his back. But that's not all. Once he obtains the 7 Chaos Emeralds from each special stage, he could become Super Sonic. The team really wanted to keep this a secret. These are the only concepts I can find for him. One having his quills pointed upwards, and one where his quills are much longer. It's no secret that Super Sonic was heavily influenced by Super Saiyan Goku. The Dragon Ball franchise is beloved by millions around the world. Heck, this concept art shares the same pose as this panel right here. For the in-game sprite, we see his fur turning golden yellow. The quills on his head are pointing upwards, while the ones on his back stay down. Super Sonic at the end of the game shows more quills on his head sticking outward. Like there's so much energy going through him that his fur is being pulled in different directions. That's at least my interpretation. Here's Sonic in headphones. Sega Sonic Cosmo Fighter is an arcade shoot-'em-up ride. The sprite gives us a much lighter blue depiction of the Hedgehog. His quills become much longer once he's aboard the ship. Imagine going to the movies to watch your favorite anti-hero, Venom,
into your own hands. You've saved money your whole life.
You decide to grab a snack before your life is thrusted into the warm embrace of the symbiote. Waiting in line and talking to people is so uncoral. So instead, you go for the Sega Sonic popcorn shop. You have this very cylinder Sonic with tiny baby legs and feet while holding a popcorn bucket. His upper quill is much higher than usual. His fur is a very light blue, which is in contrast to the game sprite, where it's a much darker blue. Oh look, it's the belt buckle on his shoe. As far as I can tell, this may be the first game appearance where he has it. That is, if you want to count this as a game. I'm not going to talk about every cancelled project, but I thought it would be really cool to at least mention the cancelled Sega Sonic Cotton Candy Scramble. Sonic and Tails are piloting the tornado. He's wearing cute pilot goggles. According to the Sonic Fandom Wiki, the machine was only shown once to the public during the Japanese Amusement Machine Show in 1994. I suppose if Sega had to choose one snack to focus on, I'd say popcorn was the better financial choice. It goes hand in hand with movies. Sega Sonic the Hedgehog is an isometric arcade game that uses a trackball for movement. The title screen is a callback to Sonic 1, but with new friends. I did notice in-game that his fur is a few shades darker. The opening sprite is a front-facing shot of him running. His quills are pointing upwards in the wind. His playable sprite is how I would imagine him being at this view. Some notable things are Sonic getting buff, catching on fire, dying, and his icon for the credits. You can see he has 2 extra quills behind him. They don't look attached to his back, otherwise this part would be colored blue. He's just happy to be here. There's also the Game Over sprite, which has no shadings, but making his colors more muted.
Now you can take Sonic around the world. Make him loop the loop, or walk the dog with this Sonic spinner only from Kellogg's Frosties. There are 4 to collect with tokens on special Frosties packs.
Sonic CD has several versions of the Hedgehog. Let's start with the opening animation. Produced by Toei and animated by Studio Junio, we're given this beautiful intro of Sonic running across the land. Stars appearing as he runs by, zooming through rivers to create rainbows, jumping across trees. I highly recommend giving it a watch if you haven't seen it. When viewing him from the front, his quills are raised above his head, but when the camera pans to his side, they're straight back. I believe this is used so every angle is an iconic silhouette. Other examples that use this strategy are Mickey Mouse's ears, as well as Goku and Astro Boy's hair. When he runs, his hands are circular without showing any fingertips. It makes everything flow smoothly. This is further helped by introducing the figure 8. If you look closely, there's the iconic yellow belt buckle on his shoes. I like when he performs his spin dash, we see bits of his spikes pointing out. This angle of Sonic looking up exaggerates his quills, the top one being the most huge. The fireworks have his quills very long. You know what, at the end of this video, I'm just going to have a top 10 Sonic designs. I think this one's going to be high up there.
Smoke!
For the Japanese art, I really like this shot of him in metal going head to head. The light blue aura around him in front of the black screen is a nice touch. It may just be because of the colors, but this looks like a 3D model. That's funny because there were 3D models of Sonic used as a reference for the title screen animation. His limbs are super skinny, as well as his shoe stripe. As for the American box art, it feels really off-putting at first. I wasn't sure why until I noticed that he has 3 really large quills instead of 4. You see the box art for 1 and 2? 3 quills on the head and 1 sticking out from the back. The third one in CD takes over his back. It might just be the jumping pose that throws it off. At least the artwork on the Sonic Retro page features my favorite Sonic CD character, Fred Flintstone. His sprite surprisingly is the exact same as Sonic 1 for the Genesis. MS Paint doesn't lie. The special stage features a different sprite with much lighter blue fur, probably so you can tell the difference between him and the water. There's also a tiny Sonic. We can't move on from CD without mentioning the hidden images. Here we have this cute Sonic with gray eyes. Huh. They were changing his eyes early on. I wonder if that'll happen again. As well as a look at his outsoles. They're a darker red. This is a what-if timeline where Bruce Wayne feared hedgehogs instead of bats. He also called himself Sonic. We have MC Sonic. I love how he's wearing a ring for a necklace. As well as the most infamous image. I don't understand what I'm looking at. The text translates to Infinite Fun, Sega Enterprises. Okay, but why give him this disturbing human face? Where are his ears? Are those lips or teeth? Sonic Chaos, or Sonic and Tails in Japan, released for the Sega Game Gear and Master System. His sprite looks like a remake of the Master System titles. The Japanese box art has his back quills much larger than usual. Also, the belt buckle on his shoes is white. The American box art gives us the exciting return of his back quill. I know the lines are there because he's on a spring pad, but why are they under his bum? There's 2 different title screens, one resembling the Japanese Sonic, and the other resembling the American version. Sonic Spinball. I remember playing this one in particular with my cousin. We never did get past the first stage. The Japanese box art has Sonic curling into a ball with these sick multicolor after images. His shoe belt buckle is back to yellow. The American box art has his legs running and turning white instead of red. The title screen sprite is off. So it's trying to have multiple quills on the very top of his head, rather than 1 and 2 underneath. Him grabbing a Chaos Emerald also shows his quills are much skinnier. Almost like it's spiky hair. His playable sprite is cute. It's inspired more from the Saturday morning Sonic cartoons. He's a lot more expressive with him being flung everywhere. I especially love this sprite of him screaming to the heavens. This game was ported to the Game Gear a few months later. How did it look? He's squished. What's interesting is the box art edits both Sonic and Robotnik. Removing the mohawk from Sonic and making Robotnik resemble the adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was split into 2 games, this being the first half, followed by Sonic and Knuckles later in the year. We'll be combining them for this segment. The design for the Japanese box art feels more touched up from Sonic 2, getting better with the drawings as time went on. His blue fur in particular really pops out. I'm noticing a lack of his shoe belt buckle, so that's 17 points off. I need y'all to type in justice for the shoe belt buckle in the comments, please. As for the American box art, again, it's very consistent. It's much more touched up compared to Sonic 2 and CD, for example. His skin looks a lot less peachy, and his shoes aren't as pointy on the tips. Oh hey, Europe has their own box art. Okay, so his quills are a mix of both the American Mohawk and the Japanese multi-quills. He has a visible... what is that, a midsole? Oh, and lovely, his outsoles are white. Sonic's sprite will receive a major overhaul in this entry, making him resemble his title screen look, giving him more personality. You can see a smile, making it so he's no longer scowling. Both hands and legs are visible in this idle pose. Sonic & Knuckles' title screen has a similar model to the one from 3, except that this fur is much bluer. Oh, and there's a tiny Sonic with a freakishly large finger. When Sonic collects all 7 Chaos Emeralds, he can become Super Sonic. He glows a mixture of yellow, gold, and light yellow. He would receive a new form in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Once you collect all the Chaos Emeralds and then the Super Emeralds, you can become Hyper Sonic. He glows yellow, pink, purple, blue, green, and gold, with white in between all of them. One thing that's interesting about Sega is that they weren't afraid to experiment. Putting the Sonic cast in a kart racer was definitely one of them.
In Japan. Oh, that was a close.
Though it was later released internationally in Sonic Adventure DX for the GameCube. You can definitely see more of a brown ring in his eyes. His torso looks a bit rounder, and he has skinnier legs. His card is called the Cyclone. I wonder if this was intentional, but the color scheme matches his shoes. Notice the white strip on the door. His sprite is condensed due to the limitations of the Game Gear screen. Well, that and half of the screen is also dedicated to the track. That's a smart move. Sonic the Hedgehog's Game World was released for the Sega Pico. The Sega Pico being an educational tool for young kids. You may recognize some titles such as Mickey Mouse, The Lion King, and even Pokemon. The cover for both regions uses the Japanese artwork. The only difference being the colors are much brighter for the Japanese cover. His eyes lose the brown ring, and his legs are much thicker. The artwork's really cute. Just look at that pig. This image right here shows drawings for in-game sprites. Only difference being his skin is more pale in the American version. Sprite-wise, I like it. His fur is a much darker blue, his outsoles are pure black. Other sprites include the car race, where he drives a pink car, a diamond maze, a UFO doll, and one where he faces off against Robotnik. This sprite seems to resemble a remake of Sonic 3. I say this because of the hands and the walking animation. Sonic Triple Trouble, or Sonic and Tails 2 in Japan, has the duo face against, gulp, Triple the Trouble. The artwork for the American and Europe covers are mostly similar. The American version has more of a mohawk. His quills are more pointy, and his outsoles are red. The Europe artwork changes him closer to his Japanese depiction, losing the mohawk head and changes his outsoles to white. The Japanese cover uses a darker white for his gloves and shoe rims. Sprite-wise, I think this is the best one for the Game Gear. A lot more expressive. I like it. The artwork for Sonic Drift 2 touches up from the first game. His shoe belt buckle is gone, legs are thicker, and the Cyclone is much smaller. Sprite-wise, it's more detailed. It even has these cool win and lose sprites. While not playable, Sonic makes an appearance at the end in Knuckles Chaotix. His legs are tan. Speaking of his legs, the manual for Sonic Labyrinth gives him stick figure limbs. The most notable change is that his shoes are different. According to the manual, Robotnik snuck into Sonic's house and replaced his shoes with slow shoes. The outsoles are gray with this silly grin. The cover artwork doesn't show the slow shoes. they're just red and faceless. The Europe version removes his shoe belt buckle. We have an isometric angle for the Hedgehog. It's pretty cool. Honestly, I feel like this is a modified sprite from Chaos. It's just more brighter. Sonic and his friends would make it into the arcades with Sonic the Fighters. The title logo shows a mouthless Sonic with a giant fist. The cabinet artwork shows a really angry Sonic. Zooming in, we notice a lot of visual polygons on his torso and muzzle. His back quills point straight out. Oh, and his outsoles are black. Super Sonic makes an appearance. His quills are much bigger when pointing up.
Sonic High School, Chapter 1, Sonic's Journal. Sonic woke up and looked at the clock. 7 o'clock, it said, and Sonic screamed, "I am late for school. I have to get to school now," said Sonic, jumping out of bed. Sonic put his clothes on really fast and ran out of his room because he is fast. "No time for breakfast," said Sonic as he ran past Sonic's mom. "You'll regret this," said Sonic's mom, leering at him from the kitchen stove, wearing aprons and oven mitts on her hands. Sonic did not care. He was late! Sonic ran outside and ran to the bus stop where people were getting on the bus. "Tails! Knuckles! Wait for me!" said Sonic as he ran towards the bus stop.
Hey, Knuckles, it's Sonic!
Said Tails to Knuckles at the bus stop. "He's late," said Knuckles to Tails before getting on the bus. Sonic ran so fast to the bus that he got on the bus after Tails.
Anyway, the cover artwork makes it so Sonic is just staring into the void with lifeless eyes. An early version of the cover would give Sonic blue arms and his American mohawk. The in-game model doesn't look too bad. 3D was becoming the craze in the 90s, so it made sense that Sega wanted a piece of that pie with Sonic 3D Blast. There's two different versions I want to talk about. One released for the Sega Genesis, and one for the Sega Saturn. For the American cover art, is it just me, but this looks similar to the model for Schoolhouse. Minus the shoe belt buckle, having longer arms and a bigger smirk. The cover art for the Saturn version shares similar traits. As for the European cover art, you know, front-facing shots of characters always look disturbing. This just looks unsettling with the quills sticking out that are high up. The Japanese version gives us this 2D artwork of Sonic and... Whoa, okay, they really exaggerated his proportions. Longer quills, arms, legs, having hot dog shoes and bigger hands. I wonder if this was hinting at something in the future. The sprites are nothing to write home about today. An isometric 3D Sonic. Although I'm sure this would have looked insane back in the day. However, the special stages in the Saturn version feature a 3D model. It would have been cool if we saw more of this model. Before we get our answers as to why not, we have to look at Sonic Blast. You gotta suffer for this game again. Come on. The American cover art uses a different running angle from the Genesis version. The Japanese version, called G-Sonic, has this cutesy vibe. His hands and shoes are huge while his limbs are very skinny. His quills are also smaller than usual. The Japanese manual changes his outsoles to gray. The sprite is a much lower quality version of 3D Blast. I get they wanted to show off the 3D capabilities for a handheld, but this is the worst looking game so far. The team at Sega wasn't done with this model just yet. They went home to brainstorm a true 3D Sonic game. Introducing Sonic Extreme. It got cancelled. Sonic Jam, a compilation of the Genesis titles, shares the same character poses for all three regions. There's also an overworld model of Sonic running around. The one thing I notice is that his quills are much longer when he runs. The last Saturn game we'll talk about is Sonic R. This game is more famous for the infamous Tails doll stories in the late 2000s. The cover artwork is a lot better than the Schoolhouse model. You could argue that the in-game model is worse though, but I think this is a guilty pleasure of mine. I like how low poly he is, especially the ice cream hands. One interesting thing to note is that his shoe belt buckle is on the top of his shoes rather than the sides. Super Sonic is unlocked by collecting all 7 Chaos Emeralds. His quills are pointed up and has a serious expression, probably because he knows what the Tails doll will do on the internet. The Sega Dreamcast would give a Sonic Adventure. The entire cast would be given a redesign. In the past, we saw various changes to Sonic's design, such as his eyes turning gray, arms turning blue, and even 3D Blast's lankier proportions. There were a few redesign ideas, like this one with a fire torso, but it looks like this design, by Yuki Iwakawa, was chosen instead. Giving him longer limbs, longer quills, gray outsoles, and green eyes.
This is a complete turn-off!
According to the Sonic Wiki, Uekawa studied what made Sonic's old design so popular. His eyes and quills are what stood out for his silhouette. His body was changed so that it would be easier to see him from behind in a third-person camera. According to Polygon, Uekawa made Sonic's eyes green because, quote, he has always seen the green pastures around him, like in Green Hill Zone. I thought it would be nice to reflect that in his eyes. His model is almost one-to-one with the artwork, just more thicker due to less polygons. Exploring the overworld would give him upgrades. The visual add-ons would be the Lightspeed shoes and Crystal Ring. The one-up icon is his classic design with the black eyes. Tails' missions would also have the classic design of Sonic. Not sure if you want to count it, but in the stage Final Egg, we would see this silly Sonic doll. Super Sonic would appear at the end of the game to face the final boss, Perfect Chaos. 4 of his head quills would point up, his fur being changed to a yellowish gold, his eyes changing from green to red, his shoes lose the belt buckle, but adds this to the heel,
A circle thingy.
and sports this powerful aura around him. According to IGN, with their infinite wisdom of knowledge,
Sonic was never good.
Sonic Pocket Adventure is the perfect game. Sadly, I've never had the chance to play this since it's exclusive to the Neo Geo Pocket. Anyway, the artwork reuses images from Adventure. His sprite goes back to his classic look, but this time sports green eyes. For Super Sonic, his eyes stay green while losing the pupils. Some may consider Sonic Shuffle as one of the pillars of fun party games. We're still trying to find those people. Please send help. The artwork model tries to replicate the artwork from Adventure into 3D. The in-game models made his fur a much colorful blue. It might just be me, but the mouth movements are very odd in this game. Super Sonic looks very washed out. He loses the white stripes on his shoes, and it looks like his pupils were torn open. Sonic Cafe was a mobile game service in Japan. It was available on the iMode, EasyWeb, and Vodafone phones. I won't be going over every single game released. Some of them are considered lost media. I'll be going over the ones with new Sonic models. Some of them might be scrunched up versions of artwork, so I'll talk about that as well. Consider this short sprinkles to make my life more difficult. I chose this path, and so I will walk it. Sonic the Hedgehog 2001. This feels like a Game Boy Color sprite. It gives him the bare basics, like red outlines for his body, brown for the shadows in his fur, and brown eyes.
Sonic Adventure.
Oi, Sonic! 本当にやるのか?
ああ、俺は冒険が大好きなのさ。ソニック！
The artwork for Adventure 2 redefines his proportions. His limbs are less lanky, quills aren't as long but thicker, his glove and wristbands have more wrinkles. What you're currently seeing is the beta artwork. Sonic would switch out his regular shoes for the grind shoes, although most people would refer to them as the soap shoes. The shoes have this arc in the middle for grinding, mostly red on top, featuring white cuffs, straps, front and side rims. He's got yellow fasteners on the end of the white straps. There's a darker gray rim on the back of his shoe. His outsoles are more detailed. If I knew more about shoe anatomy, I could go over play lines for all the forms of this. But I can't. The model features more polygons, obviously. giving him individual fingers, a bigger torso, thicker legs, and his quills are more spaced out compared to the previous title. Visual upgrades include the light shoes, the bounce bracelet, flame ring, and magic gloves. Supersonic's really cool, giving him shiny glossy fur in the space setting. The way his quills are, it kinda resembles Shadow a bit. As a kid, I might have been like 7 or 8 at the time, but I always thought this scene indicated that Sonic and Shadow were brothers. With them thinking, whoa, we're brothers. And then Knuckles right here is thinking, whoa, they're brothers. And I thought this transformation was due to their brotherly bond. Adventure 2 Battle would give an update for Sonic with more polygons. The multiplayer featured a number of alternate costumes. Clearing all of Sonic's missions would give him a yellow and orange outfit from Phantasy Star Online. Getting an A rank for every mission would give you this black and red racing jumpsuit. In the original Dreamcast version, the game would receive seasonal DLC outfits. The Halloween update would give you this jack-o'-lantern on his head and a pumpkin for his torso. The Christmas update would give him a red and white Santa jacket. That's really cool. Sonic Advance would be the next generation for the 2D side of Sonic. For the cover art, we see that his quills are shorter in length, but less messy and more tuned up, if that makes sense.
No!
His classic shoes make a return, although the gray outsoles are more noticeable. Even sticks out of the heel area. Might just be me, but something about his pose makes him feel more stiff. It might just be the way his mouth points, maybe the smaller forehead, the massive brow. I don't know, that's just me. Sprite-wise, this is a solid adaptation of the artwork. I especially love the shadings for his shoes and gloves. Does anyone remember the old days of YouTube where these sprites were used in parodies?
Well, see you later, Tails. I'm gonna go outside and get some fresh air. Sonic, don't you remember what happened last time you went outside? Hey, Tails, what's this button do? Sonic, no, don't press that! Whoops, boop. Look what you did now!
One thing I never mentioned is that sometimes his pupils would wink. Some games, like in Advance, he would have tan eyes, but later on his eyelids would change to blue. When he transforms into Super Sonic, blue lightning is shot out of him. Other than that, it's a solid adaptation. Sonic Tennis would have this basic armless design before showing up with this picture of him hitting the ball. The green in his eyes are gone, but an update for the game would give everybody big heads and small bodies. The updated image of him serving is really cool, though. Sonic Golf is colored in blue. This icon looks like a decompressed advanced artwork, but that's just me. Speed, a card game that has a decompressed Adventure 2 artwork. I don't see green in his eye, tisk tisk. Sonic Billiards' updated icon shows us a sprite I'm not familiar with. It's kinda gross with his ear pushed back so far. The logo for Sonic Bowling is alright, having blue fur for shades with no green eyes. We also see this back and overhead shot. While the back shot is neat, I just can't help but think of Chucky Finster when I see this one. Sonic Racing Kart. The title screen sprite is really cool. It looks like a kart from Mario Kart 64. This icon has the same head as the one up in Advance. Replacing his green eyes for blue, the Gameloft icon gives him gray eyes and stretches out his quills. The overhead feels like it would fit well in Advance. Oh, his green eyes return. Sonic Golf C-Mode Cup. Feels like they made his nose and ears too big, while at the same time his quills are further back. Sonic Racing Shift Up. We have a much lighter blue for the title screen. While in-game, his blue is as dark as Advance, minus the shadings from the game. Speaking of Advance 2, Sonic Advance 2! In terms of artwork, they're both different poses, but it feels like the one from 2 has a thinner brow. The sprites from both regular and Super Sonic are the same. Sonic Putter! His face is stretched out horizontally, loses the green eyes. Sonic Darts! The updated version is the full image of that off-putting one from Billiards. His icon is a compressed art from Advance 2. Sonic Coin. Sonic Pinball Party. Thank goodness his forehead returns. One of the tables has the Adventure 1 art style. In the gallery, we can see the return of the grind shoes. I'm guessing if you collect the Chaos Emeralds, the image changes into Supersonic. This is the only image I can find. No, I'm not playing this game. Sonic Adventure will receive a director's cut. Everyone's model will resemble the artwork even more. One strange thing is that the models are very shiny. If you collect all 130 emblems, you'll get Metal Sonic as a skin. I didn't have to do this, but something in me was just determined to get this, and I really like it. Sonic Reversi. Compressed artwork for Adventure and Pinball Party. Sonic Speed DX. The title screen artwork looks new. Nothing really stands out. The art style for Battle is unique. There's a lot of edges from heads to shoulders to knees and toes. He's got a few changes, losing his pupils, quills are arced much higher, back quills are skinnier, his shoe straps and gray outsoles have more height to them, and he has a really cool blue outline. His playable sprite looks similar to Advance, but his quills are smaller and his fists are put up to fight. His talking sprite is a much darker blue compared to the artwork. One thing I like is instead of using darker colors for shadows, they use lighter colors. Sonic Heroes. God, this brings back memories. He keeps the shine from Adventure DX, but the blue is much brighter and stands out more. His ears have gotten bigger, looks less tan, his yellow belt buckles have more depth, and there's a blue aura around him when he jumps. I've also noticed in cutscenes that his mouth is on the side of his face. The Supersonic model is very shiny, able to surround Tails and Knuckles in a yellow aura, also being surrounded in one. There's a yellow ring in his eyes. He sparkles as he flies, and... Wait a second. Is he crossing his arms? Oh god, he's about to tell me about his thoughts on the Hamburger Helper. The multiplayer contains these sick metallic arts. He's got a very deep shiny blue all over him, with black eyes and fully dark red pupils. Sonic Hopping! He does the unthinkable and rides a pogo stick. Judging by his sprites, his forehead is just gone. It's probably just him going up and down, but in my opinion, it doesn't loop right. Out of all three Advanced games, the third one has the cleatest design. It's a bit hard to tell unless you put them all side by side, but he transitions from being stiff to more loose and natural. I think it might be the position of his quills. We can see his forehead more, as well as his brows being much thinner. The in-game sprites are the same. That goes for Supersonic as well. Don't fix what's not broken. Sonic Hearts is a compressed image from Advance 3. Sonic Panel Puzzle uses the artwork from Sonic Battle. Sonic XS is a web browser game to promote the Sonic X TV series. It's a basic small drawing of Sonic with stick legs, all red shoes, just basic anatomy. Moving forward with browser games, I think there's only one more on this list because the rest is just either demos of games or artwork of Sonic X. I know I'm going over a lot of the cafe games, but I gotta draw the line somewhere. Sorry. Sonic Jump uses the same sprite from Advance. The thing that stumps me is that for the wiki, the title screen shows him with blue eyes instead of green. It even has that in the trivia, but when I look for gameplay footage, it's not there. So I'm not sure if this was an early version or not. Nothing stands out too much from Sonic Kart 3DX, other than the low poly model and kart that remind me of Mario Kart DS. That's another deep cut. Sonic Rush was cool for the time. The artwork gives him a more leaner torso with much larger quills. The shading borrows a bit from Sonic Advance, giving a mixture of both dark shadows and much lighter blue on the ends. He's got this rectangle dent on the heel. Oh, and we can't forget the outsoles. They're a much darker gray. The 3D model doesn't have the lighter details, but I still think it's a fine adaptation. Same with Supersonic, although this model reminds me of the one from Shuffle. Shadow the Hedgehog ports the Sonic Heroes model in the game, but removes the lighting effects.
Hey guys, Shadow the Hedgehog here.
I do like the scene where him and his friends are running through the city. I always thought this part meant that he died, and that Shadow was the cause.
Lost my little brother Jason. That was a very hard experience, definitely one of the hardest times of my life.
The artwork used in Sonic Golf 3D is an edit from a booklet that promoted the 10th anniversary. This was actually lost media until it was discovered and posted on the Internet Archive in early 2024. I'll leave a link in the description for more details. For the portrait, I think the smaller forehead and much larger quills being slicked back kinda throws it off for me. And is it just me, or are his hands much larger? The 3D model, it's not doing any favors. It looks like they removed his nose, his limbs and quills look much slimmer, and the white rims on his shoes are much larger. Sonic Riders, another childhood game with my cousins that we struggled to play because of the controls. Seriously, you couldn't have the missions before you beat the story mode? This would have helped. The Japanese box art has this amazing design, using blue for his outlines and fully coloring in the shading with added black lines. Sonic's proportions were made longer, most notably with his quills and torso. Probably so you can see his movement with the extreme gear. He was given white glasses with green lenses, although the green lenses are kinda hard to see in the 3D model. It is fitting for his eye color though. His gloves would have this black ring around the bands. His shoes are called the Extreme Gear shoes. According to the Sonic Wiki, they're supposed to resemble high-top tennis shoes. It still has mainly red around it, followed by white for the laces and rims, yellow for the triangle on the tongue and lace ends. His outsoles are gray with added red and green markings. This art style is used for the opening intro and the character select screen. The American version uses the more detailed cutscene models. It's a fine adaptation, but I prefer the 2D art style. Supersonic changes his lens to yellow as well as adding yellow shadings on the white part of his shoes. Speed DX adds this new title screen artwork. Sonic No 7 Narabe makes his nose a lot grayer. Sonic the Hedgehog, or as many would dub it, Sonic 06. I'm not sure why, but his proportions are massive. You can see that with his quills, hands, and shoes. I think this stands out because of the human characters having more realistic proportions. It doesn't really mesh well. That's just me though. Boing! For visual upgrades, Sonic would receive custom shoes that resemble the grind shoes. They change color based on what gem he equips. Green, red, blue, white, sky, yellow, purple, and a rainbow gem that's obtainable through hacking. The bounce bracelet makes a return. For Supersonic, his quills no longer resemble Shadow. Instead, all of them point higher up.
You know the rules, and so do I. Say goodbye.
Sonic Rivals would tone down the proportions from 06. The only noticeable difference I can find is the added wear on his shoes. His in-game model looks more polygonal. That could be because of the PSP though. It has its charm, I like it. He would also receive extra outfits like leather, ice, and black tie. Sonic's Napoleon. He wears a hat. Sonic and the Secret Rings. GameStop to this day still promotes it. He wears a ring on his middle finger, as well as the Flame of Judgment on his chest. He got this curse from the game's villain, Eraser Jin. The curse drains the user of their life force. Once it goes out, you're gone. The only way to lift the curse is to gather the 7 rings. The Secret Rings. I'll be here all week. The cutscenes are really cool, giving itself a storybook feel. I like it a lot. Something more interesting is the new transformation. At the end of the game, we're introduced to Darkspine Sonic after he absorbs the world rings of rage, sadness, and hatred. His fur is deep purple with white skin, no pupils, longer quills, large yellow rings around his wrists and ankles, purple gloves and shoes with a lighter purple stripe around them. His elbows have a lighter blue stripe, as well as these 2 lines from his forehead and back to his upper quill. I'll be honest, this is insanely cool. There's nothing wrong with Super Sonic, but I'm a little biased against him, because I bought this figure and he is not that good. Sonic no Jigen Resha. I probably said that wrong. It looks like a top-down view of the advanced sprites. Sonic's Casino Poker uses the Adventure 2 artwork for the title screen, while in-game uses the portrait from Sonic no 7 Narabe. Aside from telling you his thoughts, the artwork, at least from Rush to Adventure, gives him slight touch-ups. The fur is more colorful, his quills are shorter but thicker, and the eyes are slightly longer. It feels like as time goes on, the artists start to feel more comfortable drawing Sonic. Comparing the models, we see Adventure thins out his eyes while making it a more colorful green. He loses details in his glove wrists and shoe ankles. And his epic, cool, insane yellow belt buckle on his shoe is a more colorful yellow. Rad. This also follows with Super Sonic, except his pupils are visible and has this yellow line on his shoe strap. Riveting. Did you think I was going to skip the Olympic Games? Do you see how long this video is? Nothing too terrible stands out. It's just a basic Sonic model. Maybe some added fur and clothing textures. Honestly, it's at this point in the script I started second-guessing myself. Like, is any of this worth it? Who cares what Sonic looks like? I mean, there's a reason why people talk about the mainline games. It's to prevent slumps like this. When I release this video, am I going to see a majority of people hop off around the 4-minute mark like last time? A lot of that was going through my mind. And then I thought to myself, your mom. I guess we could say it's cute that he has a life jacket on during swimming events. Sonic Rivals 2. From what I can tell, it uses the same model. His outfits from the previous game return, but giving the black tie 2 yellow gloves instead of 1, as well as giving him this cheetah outfit. There's also a mimic ghost of Sonic with red eyes. I'm counting it. If you want to count it too, it's us against the world. Zero Gravity was around the time where washed out colors were all the rage, so his model adapts as so. He has some added fur and clothing texture, along with the, yes, this is what it's called, Arc of the Cosmos, which is used to control gravity. But wait, this is his cutscene model. His playable model is from the first Riders. Huh. The same with Super Sonic.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games!
Well, this is just a DS version of the Wii model. You know what, let's just skip ahead. The Wii versions of Olympic, Winter, and London games, as far as I can tell, all use the same model. Some lighting textures may differ. The DS versions of Olympic and Winter look the same, while the 3DS version of London looks like a downgraded model from the Wii version. We can get to the others later. One of these days, we'll do a Faces video for Smash Bros. Sonic was the main reason why I wanted this game for Christmas. His model adapts the art style that Brawl was going for. His quills might be the longest I've seen since '06. I thought that may have been the inspiration for this model, but don't quote me on that. For Super Sonic, all of his quills still stick up, but when he's flying, the top one points down. It reminds me of how it was during the adventure games. He would receive 5 costumes, his default design, an alt that gives him a black hue with wristbands and shoes, most likely represents the mirror match from Sonic the Fighters. Or you could say it's a reference to his mid-transformation into Dark Sonic from the Sonic X anime. An alt that gives him a yellow hue with yellow wristbands and shoes. It's most likely a reference to Silver the Hedgehog, minus the glow in the wristbands. An alt that gives him a green hue with wristbands and shoes, which is a reference to the thumbs-up glove that appears in Knuckles' special stages in Sonic 2. And finally, an alt that gives him a red hue and red wristbands, which is a reference to the thumbs-up glove that appears in Sonic 2. Anyone up for tennis? I'm not. Last time I played tennis, I fractured my foot. I had to wear a cast to school. Anyway, this was the time where games were ported to several consoles and handhelds. You can see the differences shown are resolution and textures. The DS one obviously being the most low poly. Same with Supersonic. But wait, look at this stock photo. Is Sonic wearing a bodysuit? Just who is this guy?
I'm here with Sonic. Now, Team Mario has made it no secret of their desire to trounce your Team Sonic. They even say they're going to wipe the track with you. And yet, you seem so confident that your athletes will prevail. Why?
Our team is well trained and ready to take home gold. I don't see anything stopping us now.
Sonic Jump 2. It uses the advanced sprites. The advanced sprites are also reused for Sonic at the Olympic Games. Sonic Chronicles is a weird one. There's several art styles for this game. We'll start with the box art, which I really like a lot. Giving him purple shades around his body, probably reflecting from either the sky or this new antagonist. This next piece shows his limbs and quills are longer. It still has the purple coloring around everyone. It starts to go downhill when I see this one. His quills are much shorter, the purple hue is replaced with blue. The back of his heel has a yellow texture and... oh god, no. He has a circle on the bottom of his shoe. I just can't live with myself anymore. We have this Nintendo Power poster. It gives us back the purple hue. It might just be the camera angle, but he's really lanky. His shoes are also much flatter. The wristbands and shoes are much larger. This double-sided poster shows Sonic and the gang in a much happier setting. But I'm screaming on the inside because of his outsoles changed from gray to white. This other poster from Nintendo Power has Sonic accepting his fate, having shorter but thicker quills. I like it. This other double-sided poster gives him a blue hue around his body. It fits with Amy being pink, Tails yellow, and Knuckles being red. There's a leaflet from Japan. It kind of makes him look 3D-ish in this. Well, that's fantastic. The lines under his shoes are gone. That's more important to me. For the gallery, it feels like it's giving off Sonic X vibes. Only noticeable difference is a brighter blue fur and more slicked-back quills. Oh hey, his heel is red. This beta image from IGN also has Sonic with blue arms. Alright, picture this. You've seen the first 23 seconds of the epic trailer. You can't believe this level of quality is coming from your DS. You turn on the game and are introduced to comic book flash animation cutscenes. Alright. Chapter 1, hostile reception. Ew. Okay, well, the model's worse. I think the main issue with the art style is that everything is just inconsistent. It's always changing. There's some that's cool, and some that are odd. Oh yeah, Super Sonic. Let's move on to Sonic Unleashed. Appearance-wise, nothing changes with Sonic or Super Sonic. So let's move on to the new form, the Werehog. After some crazy shenanigans in the opening, Sonic is turned into a werewolf hedgehog whenever it turns night.
I know little girls who are better with a hammer than you! Well, one anyway!
Select a memory card. Select a file. Adventure mode. Start your adventure here. Trial mode. You get to play one stage.
Beta artwork shows us the concept of giving Sonic stretchy arms for combat. Some made him much bigger, giving him this fire design. Probably a callback to this concept art. One where he has a skull tattoo, chains, a beast-like tattoo, and eyeliner. This one has quills sticking up like Super Sonic. This one just looks like a Yeti. He's just having a good time. I think they did a good job with the final design, making him much bigger than his normal self. Darker blue fur, a light blue muzzle, hands and torso fur. His ears are pointed upwards like devil horns. He has white fur on the tips of his quills. His wrists have white fur, sharp teeth and claws. His shoes have a metallic shape. The folds are much sharper. He gets spikes on the shoe straps, and most importantly, spiky cleats. I think it looks really cool. The game was also ported to Wii and PS2. While the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions give Werehog Sonic a beautiful fur texture, these ports really butcher it. We can't move on without talking about the mobile version. It's, alright. His spiky cleats are noticeably absent. Daytime Sonic looks like a modern version of his classic look. It might be the head. While he's moving, it feels like a modern version of the advanced sprites, but with added shading. I think this is the last browser game I'll go over for the video. Sonic and the Black Knight had a browser game called A Knight in Training. This design of Sonic feels like a callback to the North American redesign, mainly him facing forward. It's back to normal when he turns around. It might just be the way his quills are slicked back. Anyway, Sonic and the Black Knight is the second and last game in the Storybook series. The cutscenes return to the Storybook art style with a tan hue and much more shading. The opening has Sonic just golfing down a chili dog, like, wow man. He wears a gray gauntlet with a yellow ring and red jewel on the wrist. The main style of combat is swordplay. Sonic wields Caliburn. It talks. Last time I saw a talking sword was Dave the Barbarian. The final battle has Sonic decked out in this insane transformation, Excalibur Sonic. His armor is fully golden and has a red cape. This looks so sick. Sonic Putter. It's a really small 8-bit version of him. Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. The Wii, Xbox 360, PS3, and Windows versions all differ based on resolution. He has a new vehicle called the Speedstar. Has a blue top, white bottom, and red rims. It kind of resembles himself with the quills on the back. His All-Star mode is going supersonic. The DS version gives Sonic much darker blue fur. The Java version gives us original sprite artwork, brighter blue fur, and an A-posing supersonic. And finally, the Android version has more visual polygons. It's both bizarre and cool that these ports look different. Kind of reminds me of how, like, budget kid shows would get different stuff, kind of like Nicktoons or SpongeBob. They'd all have different graphics. Sonic 4 Episode 1 is pretty strange.
The same ugly, stretched out, green-eyed Sonic fighting the modern-style Eggman.
I grew up playing the Wii version. I remember enjoying it for the time. It was released around the Retro Revival era.
What part of retro don't you understand?
But instead of using classic sprites, they went for his recent designs at the time, like Unleashed. I think what stands out the most is the lighting on his model. In my opinion, he looks the best on mobile, decent on Wii, but for some reason his PC model's too bright. What's more weird is that there's no lighting on the sign, so like this was intentional. Supersonic's fine, he's got a glow around him, he looks the brightest on the Wii. Sonic Freeriders, the final nail in the rider's coffin.
I think I'm gonna file charges against Sega for assault!
I think the model looks nice, giving texture to his gloves and shoes. Some artwork keeps the silverish gray on the heel of his shoes. Some are changed to white. His torso isn't as lengthy as Zero Gravity. Supersonic's fine. Sonic Cricket reuses this artwork from Rush Adventure. His sprite just feels off. His muzzle doesn't reach as far on the side of his face. The belt buckle on his shoe is a huge square. And there's a yellow rim on his shoes. Okay, this is more disturbing. His limbs have extended past his body. And for some reason, he has the ability to remove his head. Does anybody remember the creepypasta Abandoned by Disney?
Hey, wanna see my head come off?
Remember that? This is horrifying. Alright, Sonic Colors. Some say this was the beginning of the end in terms of the writing for the series.
Baldy nose hair!
In terms of the artwork, I think it looks gorgeous. There's a metallic shine on his shoes. Using the power of these creatures known as the Wisps, Sonic is able to transform into various abilities to traverse through the level. These include Cube, Drill, Hover, Laser, Frenzy, Spikes, and Rocket. Supersonic's here, cool, whatever. In the multiplayer mode, we're introduced to Virtual Hedgehog. It's a doll of Sonic with robotic wrists, torso, shoe ankles, fully colored in the eyes and an antenna on his head. I think Patrick Starr's somewhere giving him instructions. These guys come in blue with cyan eyes and bulbs, red with yellow eyes and bulbs, green with orange eyes and bulbs, pink with purple eyes and bulbs, and black with light eyes and bulbs. According to Models Resource, the DS version of Sonic Colors uses the exact same model from Rush Adventure. Don't fix what isn't broken. There were also 2 exclusive Wisp power-ups, that being Burst and Void. The remaster introduces another Wisp from Team Sonic Racing called Ghost. In the shop, you're also able to customize Sonic. For the gloves, we have the default, green, jade, cyan, blue, orange, purple, pink, yellow, cheetah, gridded, dotted, cosmic, rad, tie-dye, tiger, zebra, zagged, chrome red, blue, green, purple, pink, orange, gold, silver, and burst. For his shoes, we have default, green, jade, cyan, blue, orange, purple, pink, yellow, chrome red, blue, green, purple, pink, orange, cheetah, grid, dotted, cosmic, rad, tie-dye, tiger, zebra, zagged, gold, silver, and burst. He's also got auras, wow. Default, floral, ice, fire, light, sonic movie, dark, and firework. His boost can be default, fire, floral, ice, light, dark, sonic movie, and firework. Pretty cool. Generations gave us not 1, but 2 Sonics to look at.
Now there are 2 of them.
His modern design is much bluer than his classic counterpart. One nitpick I have is that while I love this model, I just hate his stance. It's just him standing there. There's no foot tapping, no playing a Game Gear, no funny poses, no pointing, no angrily looking at me, no I'm outta here, nothing. Classic Sonic is mostly based off the Japanese version, with some inspiration from the American version. Some material, we see his eyebrows are much thicker, kind of like how the American Sonic was portrayed. His ears were also made much larger, while making his fingers less lanky. What is different from both versions is that they made his fur much brighter blue, probably to stand out from his older counterpart. Oh, and in promotional material, his outsoles are this reddish-brown color, but the in-game model, it's just red. Delete my Minecraft server. Supersonic and Classic Supersonic are here. It's a little hard to see, but Classic Supersonic has this gray ring around his eyes. It's pretty cool. The 3DS version are just downgraded models. A lot of edges. It's cute, but nothing to write home about. The re-release would add 2 skins, one from Adventure and one from Sonic Jam. Sonic 4 Episode 2 removes the shine from 1, as well as darkening his fur. The same goes for Supersonic. Sonic Jump 2012. The gallery artwork reuses the render for Sonic 4 Episode 1, but edits the hand. Now that I think about it, this artwork's used in other phone games as well. It goes into a 3D model with thick black outlines. As far as I know, Sonic Jump Fever, which was released in 2014, uses the same model. Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed. The Speedstar vehicle is much bigger compared to the previous game. The back end also changed. It has the ability to fly and hover over water. His All-Star move has rings around him while he homing attacks his opponents. An instrumental remix of Reach for the Stars plays. There's nothing too different from each version besides the resolution. It wasn't like the previous game using original sprite work or anything. Sonic Dash is still ongoing. This costume list is going to be outdated someday. But this is what I can find. We got good old regular Sonic, Andronic, Classic Sonic, Elf Classic Sonic, Movie Sonic, Baby Sonic, Slugger Sonic, Excalibur Sonic, Darkspine Sonic, Pirate Sonic, Yarg, Werehog, Supersonic, Movie Supersonic, Classic Supersonic, Boss Cage Maze Sonic, Lego Sonic, Snowdrift Sonic, Dragonfire Sonic, Jester Sonic, and Extreme Gear Sonic. Just recently, we got a Cowboy Sonic. Sonic Athletics is an arcade game that you play on a treadmill. It reuses artwork from Sonic 4 Episode 1 and Generations. It's hard to find footage of, but I like the idea of racing against people on a treadmill. This next segment will have the rest of the Smash Bros. Games, that being Smash Bros. For 3DS, Wii U, and Ultimate. Compared to Brawl, his quills have been shortened for the more modern appearances. His smile has also been changed to a drawn-on smirk. The 3DS version is a downgraded model compared to the Wii U version, and Ultimate is a higher resolution with better lighting. The same applies for Super Sonic, although in Ultimate, he went from one of the best Final Smashes to one of the worst. For costumes, his black, green, and yellow return. Red has been replaced with orange wristbands and shoes while giving him a reddish hue. Some say this is still a reference to the special stage glove, but I'm willing to argue that it could be a reference to his sprite on the Master System. In that game, his shoes are orange, not red. New costumes include this one, which gives him a more purple hue, with purple wristbands and shoes. The wristbands resemble the purple Chaos Emerald, while the purple itself could be an homage to Knights. There's one that brightens his fur to cyan, possibly to resemble classic Sonic from Generations. His wristbands are the Lightspeed ring from Sonic Adventure, and he has cyan shoes. The White Alt was so cool in the Wii U version, giving him wristbands that are a reference to the Arc of the Cosmos from Zero Gravity. His fur and shoes are turned to white, while the shoe strap is changed to black. In Ultimate, his costumes remain the same, but there are some tweaks in the hue of his fur. Purple, cyan, white, and orange have their hues reduced. Black looks a lot darker, and green now has a more purple hue. Forgot to mention yellow's hue was reduced. Sonic Lost World shortens his quills from the previous mainline adventure, Generations, but still keeps the darker blue. New Wisp power-ups include Asteroid, Eagle, Rhythm, and Bomb. The 3DS version includes 2 exclusive Wisps, being Lightning and Quake. Super Sonic has a funny quirk. He's been given a side mouth in the past few games. It changes depending on what side he faces, but something might have went wrong. He has 2 mouths. For the Wii U version, Lost World would receive 2 DLC stages from Nintendo Worlds. The first being from Yoshi, which I really enjoyed, but the second one places Sonic in Hyrule Field from The Legend of Zelda. He wears Link's tunic, Hylian boots, gloves, and a hat that covers his top 3 quills. Link also makes an appearance, but it's his Skyward Sword iteration, which doesn't make sense considering this Hyrule is a different version. But we can talk about that in a future Link video. Thank goodness that Mario and Sonic at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games was a part of an exclusive deal with Nintendo. Why are these titles so long? Comparing his model to the previous games, it's a much higher def. His gloves, wristbands, and shoes are also smoothed out. Sega took a big risk with the Sonic franchise, creating a separate universe with a new studio, Big Red Button. The entire cast would receive an overhaul in their designs. First teasing us with this silhouette. Okay, we'll focus on Sonic. Goodbye, Knuckles. His quills would change, having a different arc in the silhouette. It kinda looks like his forehead or brow increased. His upper body looks more buff, giving it the shape of a trapezoid. You can also notice his arms look more toned. What's strange is that you don't see any back quills. So maybe he's wearing clothing? Well, let's pull the curtains back and see. Oh. So the biggest additions given to Sonic are a brown scarf and sport bandages around his arms and legs. The bandages go around his shoes in replacement of the white shoe strap. The belt buckle was moved from the side to the top. His arms, well, were colored in blue.
Don't call anybody.
And his legs were made longer, so it looks like what I thought was more muscle was actually his scarf. The design itself is okay. It makes sense given the setting of Sonic Boom being more like tropical wildlife-ish. Looking at early concepts, yeah, I'd say this was the best one. One of them, for example, reminds me of a Lilo and Stitch alien. One looks like a Disney afternoon cartoon. And one gives him pants. I'm thinking of Daxter from Lost Frontier. There's a DLC costume that makes his bandages luminous. They give a blue shine to him. Sonic Boom would also get 2 3DS games, Shattered Dimensions and Fire and Ice. They're both downgraded models to fit the 3DS. His muzzle is much bigger though. But for Fire and Ice, the cutscenes would resemble the TV series. Sonic Runners. The render art shows a running Sonic with long quills, reminding me of similar length to Smash Bros. Brawl and Generations. However, in-game, they're significantly shorter. He's got a thick black outline to help you see him on your phone. I remember first playing this when I got my first iPhone. The character selection has various Sonic ults, such as Classic Sonic, Christmas Sonic, and the Werehog. But like a lot of mobile titles, the game would be pulled from the store. In comes the sequel, Sonic Runners Adventure, giving Sonic a more colorful blue and removing the thick outlines. Which style's better? That's up to you. When searching for a full roster, I was only able to find one Sonic. It's strange because mobile games love to utilize different costumes. I'm a sucker with this when it comes to Pokemon Go. I mean, look at that. Froaky's got a hat. What more could you ask for in life? Take my money. Mario and Sonic at the, oh god, Rio 2016 Olympic Games. Comparing his model to the previous game, it just looks like better glove texture. Aside from a 3DS version, did you know there was an arcade port as well? I remember playing this a few years ago when visiting family out of state. It's pretty cool. That place also had the Luigi's Mansion arcade. Sonic would get his own expansion pack in LEGO Dimensions, being, well, a Lego. The sides of his shoes are fully white. He also comes with the Speed Star, the Tornado, and a ring as an accessory. Oh, this is awesome. Oh god, it's expensive online. Well guys, it looks like the Sonic Boom franchise, gulp, was a financial failure. But luckily, the 25th anniversary of Sonic had secret sauce up their sleeve. In order to understand what made Sonic games work, they had to go back to the past. Samurai Jack. Introducing Sonic Mania, developed by Christian Whitehead and Headcanon Studios, an absolute love letter to the classic era of Sonic. His design resembles the Japanese artwork for the first 3 titles, but Mania makes the ends of his quills a bit pointier. His pupils are longer and slimmer, while also having a slight red ring around it. Also, his outsoles are red. His in-game sprite is based off Sonic 2. You can tell by the shine on his head. However, there's so much more detail, shading, and in-between animations. This is beautiful. Super Sonic is also based off the Sonic 2 sprite. For the special stages, we have a callback to Sonic Jam. Mania would also feature beautifully animated cutscenes. You could tell that he was heavily inspired by the Toei Animation / Studio Junio design from Sonic CD. He's got oversized gloves, shoe tops, even extra quills that don't feel out of place to me. If you really like these cutscenes, you can go online or play Sonic Origins to watch Sonic Mania Adventures. I highly recommend it. It takes place right after Sonic Forces. Oh yeah! That same night when Mania was announced, fans were teased with the next mainline Sonic game. Boom was out, Modern Sonic was back, Eggman is taken over, Arthur Fist was clenched, Sonic was one pissed off gamer, and Classic Sonic's here too. What? So the renders do show a much more serious tone. Darker colors, angry scowl, longer quills. However, in-game, we see Sonic's fur as a much brighter blue, and probably the shortest quills I've seen on him. This design, right here, this is why I wanted to do this video. Heck, why I eventually made this little series. In Sonic Generations, both Hedgehogs had different shades of blue. Light for classic, dark for modern. At least to me, it felt that when he got older, his fur would get much darker. It makes them stand out, especially when you look at the marketing now. light blue for classic era, and darker blue for modern. You could probably view the shorter quills as him getting a haircut. It's an interesting change, considering the past few titles just mainly look the same. One thing that this model has over generations, for example, is the idle pose. I like this over him standing there like a plank of wood. Menacingly. Acting like he's afraid to ask you out to the prom. This is probably a wild take, but I like playing classic Sonic the most in Forces. The only thing I noticed visually was his fur being lighter, but it's probably due to the lighting. Super Sonic, as usual, nothing really different. The only slight difference, you could say, is classic Super Sonic has a slight red hue on his nose. Riveting.
Sonic! ¿Por qué, Sonic? Ay, Sonic!
Sonic Forces Speed Battle uses all the models from Sonic Dash, but according to the wiki, Extreme Gear Sonic has a sunset orange and turbulent gold costumes. That's cool. Sega Sonic Heroes is a crossover between various Sega icons. Thankfully Sonic is one of them, because for some reason, he wasn't a part of Project Cross Zone. Despite a third of the roster being Sega characters, I just think it would have helped boost sales. Sonic's design resembles Forces the most in my opinion. I like his bigger brow and smirk. It feels like that attitude from the 90s is brought back. Team Sonic Racing. So the Speedstar has another design change. The headlights, front bumper, and sides have been altered. There's even a little S at the front. Sonic himself is okay. Texture on his fur and gloves. There's a mobile version just called Sonic Racing. But you still work as a team, so I don't know why they removed team in the title. Classic Sonic's here, and oh my god, it's the Cyclone! As far as I can tell, it's a 1-to-1 3D adaptation. This is a deep cut, I like it. Mario and Sonic at the Oh God, Please End My Suffering games. This was a strange timeline where the Olympics were delayed by a year. We don't talk about what happened. He's got multiple costumes for different events. First up is the tracksuit. He has a light blue tracksuit, sporting some white on the sides and ends. His shoes look like a combination from the Grind and Extreme Gear. He's got light blue on the back rims. His outsoles have red dots in the shape of a U. For swimming, his regular shoes are back. He also takes caution and wears a blue life jacket, safety first. Karate gear gives him blue and white gloves, blue pads with black stripes on his shoes, a white gi and a blue belt. According to Karate Belt ranks, Sonic's skill is right in the middle. Equestrian jumping gives Sonic a jumper attire with brown boots. For fencing, his body and arms are suited up. The palm of his gloves are a darker gray, and his track shoes return. For surfing, his track shoes are back, and his upper body is given a wetsuit. The Sonic 1 sprite makes a return in a retro mode. Pretty cool. You know, I'm starting to think that Mario lied to us, because we have Sonic at the Olympic Games. It's just the same game, minus Mario. There's this Guardian character that can take the shape of Sonic, but having this purple shadowy texture and light blue eyes.
Dance Soccer! Sonic Skateboard! Rogue and Emmy Dennis!
Sonic Frontiers. The first look at the game gave us a very similar, if not the exact same model from Forces. This wouldn't be anything new. For example, Sonic on Genesis and CD would use the same sprite, the Advanced Trilogy. Even Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog reused the same model. If you view them from the side, yeah, those quills have similar length in Forces. I feel Frontiers improved upon the design. While Forces had this washed out blue, Frontiers gave them color again. Looking closely, you could even see fur texture. In the game, Sonic is tasked with going into the cyber world to free his friends. But by going in and out of the worlds, he was exposed to enough energy and become corrupted, causing his body to slowly gain this red and black glitchy-like appearance. The texture is similar to another character, Sage. Sonic eventually saves his friends and Eggman from cyberspace. But uh-oh, Sonic is fully corrupted. He gains a cyan color, which covers his entire body. But through the power of holding hands, Knuckles, Tails, and Amy decide to stop existing, and Sonic is cured.
Sonic, I want you to see the hero I become. Sonic, you still have love to share with this world too.
How to play as Sonic.
Super Sonic makes multiple appearances in the game. You gather the 7 Chaos Emeralds several times. Each boss battle is an all-out brawl. The first one in particular being one of the coolest moments in the franchise, as you're attacking this gigantic titan with anime-like punches. Super Sonic would receive 2 new forms. Starfall Super Sonic is achieved from using his cyber corruption. His eyes change from red to cyan. There's a red outline around him, a yellow and red glow with bits of cyber particles coming out of him. By using the full extent of his cyber corruption, dubbed Super Sonic Cyber, Sonic gets shot out of a cannon and into Supreme in the end. Super Sonic Cyber's entire body is a mixture of black and cyan colors for the corruption. His eyes are gray with multiple black rings, sharpened teeth, and has white and cyan electric sparks. The game would receive DLC costumes. First up is the Adventurer's Glove and Shoes, giving Sonic brown leather gloves and boots. The Grind Shoes would make their exciting return. Inugami Corone collab would give him Corone-themed gloves and shoes. There were 2 Monster Hunter costumes, one for the Rathalos armor, and the other for the Feline Rathalos. Where are my manners? That's the name in America. In Japan it's called Leolis, or Reiorisu. A holiday cheer suit would give Sonic a Santa-themed jacket and hat. Sonic's birthday bash would give him a party hat, party sunglasses, and a bow tie. And for 100% in the game, you would receive a golden crown. April 1st, 2023 would mark a brand new step in the franchise. Getting rid of Sonic. It's Amy Rose's birthday, and everyone's dressed up. Sonic sports a blue coat with a captain hat. There's also this mini-game placing Sonic in an isometric view. Both his regular outfit and captain outfit are included. Neat! Sonic Superstars was the next 2D installment. Going back to his classic designs for the cast, comparing him to his previous appearance in Forces, he would get texture in his clothing. Probably with the lighting, his model just feels better. The Chaos Emeralds would give Sonic and his friends new powers. For visuals, Avatar would give him a cyan hue that sends a swarm of copies to fight for you and die. They're just like Pikmin. Bullet, a red hue, can turn into a fireball. Vision, a purple hue with checkerboard patterns once platforms are created. Water turns Sonic into water, and can climb up waterfalls. Ivy, a green hue, and can summon a giant stalk. Slow, a yellow hue with numbered patterns. It slows down time. Whoa. Extra gives him a white hue and homing attack. You'll never believe this, but once you gather all 7 Chaos Emeralds, you get the ability to go Super Sonic. Very wild. My life has changed forever. This game also, believe it or not, has costumes. Lego Sonic makes a return. There's a comic style which was very hard to find in America. Thanks Sega. There's a rabbit skin which is a nod to one of the earlier designs when creating Sonic. A Santa Claus hat and jacket. And finally, a shadow-themed footy pajamas. Apparently it's forbidden to make a classic Shadow because it'll ruin the timeline for Sonic. But I think this is a nice compromise. The 2D cutscenes are similar to Mania's.
Eggman.
What?
Hey, we beat the game. We beat the game, guys. We beat the game. We beat the game.
Sonic Dream Team is an Apple Arcade exclusive to mobile phones. I got a free trial just to try and record footage for this video. I'm not the best with the controls since I'm using my thumbs for the joystick. The key art really stands out, giving it a Pixar-like feel with the deeper colors and expressions. The model... wow. For a mobile game, heck, any 3D Sonic game, this one's amazing. I love his expression when coming into the world. His mouth is open like, where am I? His idle animations are stellar. I love how his quills sway back and forth when he runs. The results screen is him going, what's going on? Followed by a confident smirk. The opening animation's also really good. It feels like the team behind this game really put their all in the animations. Sonic Top Golf is tricky to find clear footage of just Sonic. This close-up of him is cool. It reminds me of a mixture between Sonic 4 and Heroes for some reason. It might be the animation, but this pose makes his body a lot bigger. That mouth. At the time of this recording, Sonic Rumble is yet to be released. It feels like a figurine-like aesthetic. Bigger head, but a wider body. And finally, at the time of writing this, we got our first look at Sonic Racing Crossroads. I actually got to participate in the closed beta. Thanks, Sega. The game was super fun to play, very chaotic, but I enjoyed a majority of my time.
Where am I going? I finished all 3 laps! Yo, I can go out of bounds. This is awesome. Okay, I guess I didn't. Wait! Wait a second! Wait a minute! Wait!
Judging by the side view, it does look like the Frontiers model is being used. The Speedstar has been given updates to the front and back. You're able to customize parts to any vehicle, including paint jobs and adding stickers. The Extreme gear was locked out, so I didn't know if Sonic changed costumes or not. I had this all recorded back in February, but since then we got some extra updates for Sonic Racing Crossworlds, Sonic Rumble, and the new Sonic Blitz game. At the time of this recording, we're up to date. So, it's been quite the journey. Looking back at all these designs, I'm bound to have a list of my favorites. If I were to give my 10 favorite designs, starting at 10, we would have Sonic Dream Team, the Storybook cutscenes from Secret Rings and Black Knight, Sonic Advance, Sonic 3, Sonic Unleashed, the 2D art style for Sonic Riders, Toei/Studio Junio Sonic, Smash Bros. Brawl Sonic, Adventure 2, and finally, Sonic Mania. I finally understand why most content creators solely go over the mainline stuff. There's a lot of titles. But that's what makes things interesting. He's gone through a lot of changes. After the Adventure series, Sega tried fine-tuning him, which is why nothing too drastic changed, aside from the Boom spin-off. I've obviously had to skip some of the cafe games, certain crossovers, cameos, other Sonic X-looking puzzle games, and other Sega titles. I just hope no one's too upset that I didn't talk about Sonic's appearance in Kart Rider Rush. What? But anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.